Hello, hello, wherever you are on this planet. I'm in Chicago right now still. But today is Monday, September 6th, 2021, and it is a new moon in Sidereal Leo today. So I've got out my 2021 Sidereal Astrology guide. I've got my cards, which means I got a word. I'm gonna keep it short, sweet, to the point. The fill in the blank here for this new moon in Sidereal Leo says planting seeds to preserve my authority. And I think that this particular new moon is deceptively straightforward in terms of these transits through Leo and this new moon in Leo, especially within the context of Jupiter having been in Aquarius since April, have to do with uncovering all of the ways and spaces we have handed over our authority to others, whether that is to institutions as we allow them to determine the relationship that we have with our bodies, how we parent our children, the relationship that we have with our own parents. And I think one of the important things to understand about this is that when we get into a space where we feel rightfully defiant, it's really a part of this development process where we seek autonomy, not necessarily to do what we want, but to see things through our own eyes. And oftentimes we will get wrapped up in like this teenage phase, or even this very adolescent or even toddler-like phase of you can't tell me what to do, or you can't tell me what I know or what I can know or what I can see. And in so many spaces, in an attempt to gain some agency over ourselves and agency over the way that we see things, we often end up pushing against authority rather than stepping outside of the auspices of this. And so what I really mean by this is that there's a difference between you can't tell me what to do and who I am versus this is who I am. This is what I believe. This is how I see things, right? Because the alternative to that is conspiracy theoryism rooted in distrust and rebellion rather than discernment, and identities rooted in not being something rather than authentically being who and what we are. And I think that our worst fear almost is that if we were to be authentic, we might be a little bit more like that thing we're rebelling against than is comfortable for us. So this fill in the blank, planting seeds to preserve my authority. What are you planting seeds to preserve authority over? Of course, if you know your sidereal birth chart and you've been to thepeoplesoracle.com and you click sidereal birth chart and followed those instructions, then you know what house number has Leo on it. If you've got the 2021 Sidereal Astrology guide, then you know where this is playing out in your life. But I think even without the knowledge of your chart, we can take this moment to really think about the ways in which we have confused authenticity with rebellion, and the ways that we have confused you can't tell me what to do versus this is my authentic path full of conviction. This thing of you can't tell me how to interpret or what things mean or who I am, like this is a necessary part of development, but we have to move past that. Because as long as we keep saying, you can't tell me who I am, you can't tell me what to do, we're actually honoring and preserving their authority rather than claiming authority over ourselves. I hope that made sense. So let's see what these cards have to say for us today. Once again, I've got the Afro Tarot by Jesse Jumanzi. And I am going to shuffle here and just draw a couple cards and see what the word is for us today. What is this wisdom, this guidance, this insight, illumination that can help us to really plant some seeds to preserve our authority over ourselves? How can we move out of this space of rebellion? You can't tell me who and what I am, and you can't tell me what to do, versus definitive statements of who you are, who I am. Okay, I don't know is an okay, totally valid, and sometimes just honest answer. Sometimes you really don't know who you are, and you don't know what you believe, and you don't know what things mean. And anyone in a leadership position or position of authority, whether over themselves or others, that's a sign of a good leader. So it's a sign of good authority over yourself and your life and your body when you can say, I really don't know. And it's a sign of preserving your authority when you can say, I don't know, and you can figure out who does know. And you can use your discernment to decide if you want to use your authority over yourself to acknowledge someone else's expertise, someone else's experience that may be more than you have for yourself, right? So let's see here. Let me do a couple more shuffles. As you can see, I don't have any weird things about drop cards or anything like that. They're just not my thing. All right. But I will say sometimes the cards that I drop end up becoming the cards that I pull anyway. So let's see here. All right. We've got the Knight of Cups. Excuse me. We've got the Knight of Cups. The Knight of Cups is water, of course. Water is our relationship with our body. And I often find the Knight of Cups coming when we are in these ebbs and flows and these uncertain kind of emotional, physiological spaces. And I think many of us, and myself included, can be really uncomfortable when we have to acknowledge the fact that we cannot really control our bodies as much as we think we can. We cannot control our feelings. We cannot control pain. All of these things can happen spontaneously against our will. And I think that in the spirit of preserving authority over ourselves, rather than quenching the things that come up that we're uncomfortable with. Quench means to extinguish, to put out, to snuff it out. There's some curiosity, and I think that the best parts of the Knight of Cups are allowing our feelings to lead us to new destinations and new territories. When we're feeling feelings that are unfamiliar or uncomfortable to us, I think there's something to be said about, where is this taking me? How does this feel for me? What does this mean for me? The other side of the Knight of Cups is the Knight part, and Knights are led. They can be kind of compulsive. So this other part of the Knight of Cups is having this feeling arise and just going with it and moving with it. And I think that there's some courage here. I think that there is some courage that goes along with having a feeling and acting on it and moving on it. And I think oftentimes for the Knight of Cups, this can be about pursuing pleasure and things that feel good without necessarily thinking of the long-term consequences. I think that one of the ways that we preserve authority over ourselves is through bodily autonomy, that I get to say what happens to my body and I get to say what I do to my body. And so there's a real question here of, in the ways that you embody your identity and in the ways that you respond to empire's demands and power to control your body. How much of your relationship with your body is a rebellion against empire's authority, a pushback of you can't tell me, you can't make me, you don't know, versus this is what authentically is what I want. This is what feels good. I'm making this choice free from coercion. I'm making this choice free from someone else's control. I'm making this choice free from even reacting to someone else's control over me, control over saying who and what I am, control over saying who and what I can do with my body. There's this real sense that reacting to someone else's attempts to control you is still allowing them to control you. How can you dishonor? I love that word here. How can we dishonor empire and institutions and other people's claims of authority over our bodies? I think this dishonor and be irreverent towards, to not acknowledge, right? And instead to embody and reclaim and preserve our authority over our own body. With authority becomes responsibility, right? And I think in this moment, we are learning that we are so used to giving up authority over ourselves, over our minds, our thoughts, our beliefs, and our bodies, that we don't even know how to be responsible for ourselves. And it's very black and white. Either we are reacting and rejecting and yelling in the face of you can't tell me I am not, or we completely surrender to the authority of entities outside of us. So I think that this Knight of Cups is really asking you to listen to your body. Oftentimes, what's beneath the rebellion is fear. And you want to be protected. It's not that you don't want anyone to tell you what to do. You don't trust that you will be protected, that you will be safe, that you will be taken care of if you allow this person, entity, thing to have control over you or authority over you. So instead of saying, I'm scared and I don't know how to make up from down, I'm afraid that I'm being left vulnerable and not taken care of, right? Instead, you don't know what you're talking about. You can't tell me, right? So how can we really be with our bodies? How can we really be with our feelings? And really just set aside for the moment what is being said or done or claims that are being made by people and things and entities outside of us. And what do our bodies really say? And I imagine that our bodies are really saying, I'm scared. I'm overwhelmed. I'm in pain. I'm sad. I'm lonely. You might be happy too. And that's okay. You might be full of joy and celebration too, though I think the collective emotional tone is of fear and not knowing how to move. Do we fight? Do we run? Do we freeze? Right? When your body is what are you doing in response to that? Oh man, here we go with this card again. Lord Jesus, I feel like this was like new moon, Gemini, I don't know. Some reading I did. Why did I just put that card in there like that? I gotta find that card. I just put it in the middle of the deck. Death is the card. Here we go. Death is about irrevocable endings. It's about the fact that things have changed and they're never going back. There is an initiatory process of death that we individually and collectively experience on the path to our own mortality, to our own death. We experience the loss of our innocence permanently. We experience the loss of loved ones. We lose jobs and homes, houses, various people and things die. And this is our initiatory process of death, that ultimately there is nothing that lives and lasts forever. I think that within the context of the Knight of Cups, when we're talking about what is your body really telling you, what is your body really feeling, and it could be simply just fear of death, right? Fear of invisibility and annihilation, fear of loss of your life and your loved ones. And can we just say that? I mean, really, can we just say, I'm afraid of dying. I'm afraid my children will die. I'm afraid my loved ones will die. And I'm afraid that I'll be so sad and heartbroken that I won't want to live anymore. I'm afraid that I won't be able to cope with the grief of losing something or someone that I hold dear and value. I'm afraid because I don't know what death is like. Will it hurt? Will I be scared? Will I be alone? Will I suffer? I mean, can we just say that? We are surrounded by death right now. Our institutions are just crumbling irreversibly. So many people are losing lives and homes and whole entire livelihoods and ways of life. And for as much death as we've witnessed and counted over the past 18 months or so, where has been the opportunity to say, I am scared of dying. I am scared of things changing so much that they will never go back to the way that they were. I am scared that in these changes, maybe there won't be room or space for me to be and do what I've always done. I mean, it's deceptively simple. But no one has said it. No one. People are taking all kinds of drugs and experimenting with concoctions of vitamins, and some people take the vaccine, some people don't. But behind every choice, whether or not it's admitted, is fear of death. And if it's not fear of actual death, it's the fear of the suffering that may or may not occur leading up to death. In my video for September 2021, my September 2021 horoscopes, and on Twitter as well, I've talked about the nature of human consciousness, and that the Sun and Leo represents the aspect of us that is conscious, present, and aware in this present moment. Often unaware of the past or unconcerned with it. There being things that we just cannot see or know. And Leo is this survival-based way that we are able to focus our attention on something. It's the authority of the will to direct our attention. And I think one of the ways that we often confront authority out in the world that claims power over us is the way that they are able to divert our attention. They tell us what to look at and from what vantage point to look at things. And with that, some of us do have a distrust. And so we say, well, this is just a distraction. And this is just, what are they really trying to hide? And as I said yesterday, I think in this moment in time where we have access to more information than any previous generation in human history, I think that authority and power right now is so direct and honest about their agendas, and maybe more than Hitler. I mean, Hitler wrote a whole entire book laying out exactly what he was going to do. No one believed it, of course. They thought it was just ideas or like religion or something. We couldn't be honest about this, right? But I think right now, those who seek to preserve their own power through capitalism, through racism, through misogyny, and all of these things, they are as honest and open, as direct about their agendas than any authority has been in history. And yet, they're hiding something. No, they're not actually. And if anything is being hidden, it is our own subconscious. The things that we just cannot say. Can't you just say that you are afraid of suffering? The dog said, yep. Right? Can't you just, the dog barking outside, can't you just say you're afraid? Why can't you say that? Why is this not how we're interpreting this moment? Why is no one just coming out and saying the very obvious thing? I am afraid of suffering, whether I choose to vaccinate or not, whether I take this drug or this this vitamin or mineral or herb or whatever. I'm afraid of suffering. I'm afraid of dying. This is the thing that we all have in common. How we go about that and what we think is the cause of our suffering or what we believe will bring our death, that's a different story, right? How can we come to this most human of places and say, I'm afraid, I'm scared, I feel uncertain, I'm not sure, I don't know where to go, who to ask. I don't know. That's all I got for y'all today. I'm gonna be sitting with this. This is a little bit heavy for me, but this is the moment that we're in. Take care of yourselves. Tell somebody you love them and then show them. Or don't even tell them, just show them. I'll see y'all later.